Godzilla and Kong are done. Time for MechaGodzilla. Hey, how's it going everyone? We're here with yet another S.H Monsterarts release. This year has been stacked. It's fantastic. Hopefully 22 will be similar with lots of releases. Already the first half we do have quite a few coming, so if you enjoy Monsterarts, want to see more reviews, be sure to hit that like, subscribe button down below, because I will have a review for each one of those once they come out in Japan. Anyway, let's jump straight into Godzilla vs Kong MechaGodzilla from Godzilla vs Kong 2021. Now it's been 6 months. Yeah, they came out in May in Japan. It's time's gone by pretty fast. Now, unlike the first two, which were retail releases, this one here was actually a premium bundle release. So we do have the Tamashii web logo on the left here if you are importing from Japan. And then we've also got the usual stickers, the Tamashii Nation's quality seal, various logos as well. Now I do love the fact that they've carried through the same box design. I love that kind of blue, pink, orangey splatter colour that they had for the design of the previous boxes. Now on the back here, there is no window to see in or anything like that. We do just have a nice selection of images of the figure itself. Now the biggest question everyone is going to have: is he worth the money? Now this is not a cheap figure, especially since most Monsterarts tend to hover around the 9 to 10,000 yen mark. This guy was quite a bit more. Now we'll pop him open and we'll get to that answer later in this video. Okay, I've got him out of a box here. He doesn't come with any accessories besides some extra hands, which kind of have the closed gripping pose on them. Now I was surprised. I thought these would have some joints in them. They are just a static pose. I guess that is why you can pop these on and off, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. But first I just kind of want to talk about the overall aesthetic, the detailing on him straight out of the box. Now, one complaint I saw from a lot of people was that his spine wasn't coloured red like a lot of other figures have been released. Now he does actually have red along his spine. It's just a very, as you probably tell, slight red line throughout all of it. Now there's actually a nice highlighted detailing on it, which I really do like. I kind of view this figure not so much as the big badass MechaGodzilla we saw fighting, but more the one that's in the lab, just broken free. That's why he isn't fully charged up in that rampage mode or anything like that. Now, if you've followed the line for a while now and you've seen Shin Godzilla, you'll know that one had a base version which was pretty vanilla. Then you had your next release, which was kind of like your vanilla with little sprinkles on top. Then your awakening version, which was the vanilla ice cream, chocolate coating, sprinkles and all that. Now, not necessarily sure they'll do the same for this line, but going by the popularity of Godzilla vs Kong, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see something along that line for MechaGodzilla, where he comes fully souped up, charged up, and with some effects. If they do, would I keep this one? Still on the fence of that. Not really sure if I need every version of MechaGodzilla, but I do gotta say this figure looks pretty damn beautiful out of the box, just as is. He's got absolutely amazing detailing down here with the what's not pipes, hydraulic system on his legs, all the crisscross patterns on his armor, the extra detailing and lines on there really does bring him to life. So yeah, the extra detailing on him as well is all underneath, so a lot of it you can't really see unless you get really close, and on the other hand there's some areas which are lacking the detailing, which is a shame. The other thing just to note is that he is a straight grey colour, though due to all the extra texture and lumps and bumps and everything like that on him, he does create some lovely shadows which will give him the extra depth detailing and will darken some areas. However, it would have been great to get some weathering on there, but if I bring it back to my point earlier where I said this is the first version just come out of the factory showroom, I can understand why he's so clean and crisp. So hopefully in a future version, if they do one, it'll be a bit more battle damage with more weathering and detailing. Anyway, let's take him off the turntable here and get a close look at his points of articulation. Starting from his head, his mouth and jaw actually opens a decent amount there, and you can see some pretty good detailing of his teeth on the inside. The eyes have a lovely red paint on them as well, sort of a nice metallic red. For the points of articulation on top, his hair can swivel around really well, and his head can tilt up and down nicely. The neck here, I was actually surprised, you can actually swivel on the bottom area, and then the next joint up as well. So you do get a really good amount of range in his neck and head, a lot more than a lot of other Monsterarts figures, which is pretty nice to see since there's often one of the areas that is limited. Over to his shoulder area, he does have some shoulder pads which lift up and down, and actually on top here we do have, if I can kind of get at it, there we go, he does have some rockets that do lift up. Though it would have been nice if this had some red paint in there to kind of give him some extra detailing for the rockets. The arm itself will swivel basically all the way up and around, it just gets limited by the actual guard on the top here. And it's quite similar to S.H Monsterarts figures, where they have the front swivel of the chest action as well, which is quite nice. Again, it's mainly just limited by the actual design of the figure, with the extra piping coming up. So it would have been quite nice if I could have designed this slightly different to get this around a bit further, but overall I think the range of motion it has is actually pretty nice in that area. Moving down to the actual shoulder joint here, we can go up and down. The joints are decently stiff, and definitely no real loose joints. Maybe a bit too stiff in some areas. And the same can be said for the arm as well. And then for the arm we've got it out straight, and then this will bend up as well. Though these joints are very stiff on mine, I had to kind of work it a little bit to kind of get it moving a bit more freely. Down for the hand, these just swivel all the way around, and we can pop them off to reveal the ball joint, which we then just take the new hand and we can attach it on. The torso region articulation is really easy to explain because, well, we can just skip it. There is no articulation in the center chest area, which is actually a bit of a shame. It would have been nice to get some motion in there, but I guess overall for the design aesthetic they were a bit limited there. However, jumping down to the hips, I think this is where it gets really interesting, and actually the design for this is really nice. You can see that you've got each one of these hydraulic pumps here. Now the bars actually move in and out, though you do have to be careful. If you push it too far they can pop out, and it does talk about this in the manual, though you can kind of fiddle and get it back in if they do come out, though it is worth being a bit more careful with that. So when you move your legs up, they move with the leg, which is really cool. Though this does kind of limit the design a little bit, which is pretty similar to the Kiryu figures if you have those. Though as you can see, I mean, there's what's about probably 20 or so millimeters of movement either side, which is quite nice, and it feels really good. It feels really fluid, so that's something that I really do like about this figure. Though more range is always welcome. Now for going in and out, there's a little bit of range there, not too much. Again, is a bit more limited due to the design of these hydraulics. Now down to the leg itself, the actual kneecap here is one of the die-cast parts along with the feet, and I think there's some other central parts as well. In terms of articulation here, it's decently good. Again, you've got the hydraulics there which will go in and out, which is really nice. Down to the feet, you've got a decent tilting action here, and these will rock left and right as well. On the back you do have some flaps which will go up and down, and same for the front, so you can kind of move these out of the way if you want to get more articulation. You can drop it back down to cover that area. So that's quite nice. Means you can kind of cover those joints a bit better if you're trying to get into some unique poses. One more part for the legs before we jump onto the tail is you can actually twist these around as well, which is really nice. So again, working with all those hydraulic joints which all do swivel, you can get the twist action going on as well, which is pretty cool. I love all the interconnections in here. I think that is probably one of the reasons why this figure does cost quite a bit actually, is the extra detailing and getting all the design in here and working fluid and smooth without limiting the articulation too much. Now jumping onto my favourite part of every Monsterarts, and that is the tail. And man, this one is really nice. It holds its pose extremely well, and yeah, as you can see, the articulation is really nice. You can swivel up and down and all around, and the tail tip can swivel as well. We do have those spiky stabbing bits. So you can bring it almost all the way up around towards his head. It would have been quite nice if this was a bit longer, but I guess that kind of deviates from the design a little bit. But yeah, the tail feels really nice. I love how it can hold its pose extremely well. So we've got Godzilla and Kong here to compare with MechaGodzilla for both a size comparison, and yeah, I think they look pretty good with each other. I mean, the Monsterarts line doesn't have a specific scale per se, but yeah, I think these all match up pretty well. MechaGodzilla is definitely a lot bigger than both of these, and yeah, I think they work really well and they're really fun to play with together. I did take a photo just for this review, which I'll be checking up on Instagram as well, where we have Kong punching MechaGodzilla while standing on Godzilla himself, and yeah, I think it worked pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to taking more photos with these. But yeah, I mean, as I said, let me know in the comments below what you think about the sizing for these, if you think Tamashii did a good job or not. Okay, so we're going to jump into the final thoughts for the Godzilla vs Kong MechaGodzilla, but before that I kind of wanted to have a quick comparison against Kiryu, because this is pretty much one of the best designs for MechaGodzilla. It's definitely a big fan favourite, and he's pretty similar to MechaGodzilla, where he does have your die-cast parts as well. Now, one thing I wanted to kind of go over is I kind of prefer the metal colour or plastic that they use on the Kiryu. While he isn't, I guess all the main parts of him is still plastic, I feel like the colouring on it looks a lot nicer, whereas one of his slight cons for MechaGodzilla, I feel like the plastic does look a bit too plasticky. It's kind of that colour, it's that kind of generic, straight out of a box, Gundam metallic grey colour that they just use. So I feel like that is one of the slight cons for MechaGodzilla, which we'll go into a bit shortly, especially when compared to the Kiryu design here, or at least this figure. But let's just jump into the pros for this figure first, and we can kind of go over if he is worth his value or not. Now, straight away, he is a lovely figure. The design, the tail, especially the spine, I really do love the red and the highlighting down there, and all the extra textures and detailing throughout his whole body, and the way his articulation works in his tail is extremely nice. The pistons are hydraulic, pneumatic design, and all the piping, how they all move to each other. He can swivel, he can pull, he can bend in all those different ways, and it works together extremely well. I think that extra attention to detail is very nice. I do think that is probably why this figure is quite a bit more expensive. Not necessarily due to the die-cast parts. He's actually really light. I kind of expected him to be a lot heavier, but the die-cast parts, mainly in the joints, the feet, and the kneecap, and some of the inner joints, the elbows, and so forth. I think it would have been quite nice to have some more die-cast parts on the outside. Again, it would probably help with that con that I was mentioning, which is it does look a bit plasticky. Now, along with that, I think, yeah, since he's pretty basic, he doesn't have much colouring or weave or anything like that. I think he would have benefited a lot from that. Maybe some different colours, some highlights of the inner parts, but again, I can't exactly remember the exact design of him in the movie, if he did have that or not, so maybe this is actually really authentic. But yeah, I mean, even then, I think some extra colours detailing on the inside would have been really nice to help him pop. Now, another big pro for the articulation is the head. Obviously the mouth opens wide, and you've got the two different points where it can swivel and move around really well. The arms isn't too bad, but the other main con, no central articulation. His elbows are quite stiff, and the fact his arms, or his fingers, hands don't have any articulation. I think if these were die cast, that would have been really nice, since these are plastic. Die cast with some joints to move in and out would have been absolutely fantastic. One thing I didn't point out before was that his chest here, it does open up. He does have 1, 2, 3 rocket pouches or rocket launchers in there. They can be a little bit hard to open. I just got a paper clip and used it to pop them open. The other con for me is the top head, and there's no detailing. I mean, there's detailing everywhere except for on the top of the shoulder. That kind of does stick out a little bit. But is he worth a price point? I'm on the fence, to be honest. I don't think he's expensive for what he is. I think Tamashii does do a pretty good job of nailing down the price at a point which is pretty reasonable for what you get. But I really do think all the detailing in the pneumatics was what drove the price up, and I think if it didn't have those, this figure wouldn't be anywhere near as nice as what it is. So in saying that, I do think he probably is worth picking up, even that price point. Again, if you're not a big fan of the design, yeah, just go grab a Kiryu, who's even more expensive because he's so popular. But with Godzilla SP being popular, and if you haven't watched it yet, spoiler, at the end there's a MechaGodzilla who we should get in the second season that comes, and he looks absolutely badass from that little clip, so I'm really looking forward to that. So you can kind of hold off, and there should be something in the future. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm really keen to hear. I will be checking out some photos at the end of this video, as well as Instagram, so you can check those out. And next month we'll have, what is next month? Jan, should be the special card version and get over from King of the Monsters. Really looking forward to getting that. So if you want to check out that video, yeah, just hit that subscribe button, so you'll be notified when that does come out. Anyway, again, thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. Until next time, cheers.